Hey everybody, and welcome to another Good Vibes Gaming discussion. I'm your host for today, Ash Paulson, and I'm joined by my good friends and GVG co-founders, Steve Bowling and John Cartwright, to talk about Wave 5 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. And man, that is a mouthful. How's it going, guys?
I want you to say the full title, Ash, as the direct guy would say it. Say it with me. The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game. There you go.
For the Nintendo Switch family systems.
Yeah, exactly. That always mystified me. They're always like the Pikmin 4 game, the Smash Brothers Ultimate game. I don't know. I don't get why they have to do it that way, but I'm not the one paid to make those decisions. However, I am the one hosting this discussion, and man, time flies. It feels like we were just talking about Wave 1, and Steve, my man, I am particularly happy to have you back here because you haven't been on one of our Mario Kart 8 DLC tier list rankings since Wave 1.
I had to come back. We finally got justice for Kamek. How could I not be here?
Yes. Justice for Kamek, but still no justice for Dixie Kong, unfortunately. I'm losing hope, but maybe one day she'll be treated with the respect she deserves. But,
look at the calendar as well. We're recording this on a Wednesday. It is officially Wiggler Wednesday.
It is. It's Wiggler. It's the actual Wiggler Wednesday.
Wiggler Wednesday.
Wiggler Wednesday. Yes. And there's something so weird, just weirdly inappropriate seeing Wiggler ride the Wild Wiggler. It's so strange, just visually, and it's vaguely disturbing too, but that's also just makes it better in my opinion. But we need to go ahead and kind of jump into these track rankings, I think. And I think this was a pretty strong wave overall, but we'll see where we all land on this. So the first one we have, it's the first track in the Feather Cup, and that is Athens Dash. And this is the first of the 3 Mario Kart Tour real-life city tracks in this wave. And I was pleasantly surprised by it, but Steve, since you have not been on one of these since Wave 1, I want to open up with your thoughts, man.
Wow. So I'm overall quite positive on Wave 5. I've played through the track several times. I didn't expect to be positive on it. I think that previous tour tracks have burned me a little bit. They've all felt like they're very pretty, but they're very safe. Right, the the track designs themselves are not super interesting. Athens is not that. Like, it's actually a very interesting, very varied course design, and I can't believe I'm saying this. And maybe it's a little bit of bias because of the fact that the other tour tracks have been comparatively kind of tame. I want to put this one in either like high B or A tier even. Like, I really like this one.
I don't think you're speaking too highly. I think it's a good track. There's a bunch of tour tracks that definitely go for, like, they just try and get landmarks in there. It's like, oh, look, like London, for instance. Oh, look, it's Big Ben. There's London Eye. But the actual track, pretty basic. Whereas this one uses a lot of pillars, a lot of ruins. It feels genuinely like it could be a Mario Kart track, like a proper from the ground up one. It's absolutely one of the best tour ones. I think I'm probably feeling B rather than A, but I can be pushed either way.
I generally agree with you both. The one thing I have to push back on, Steve, is that Singapore Speedway, for me at least, was an S tier track. I thought that was such a cool.
That's high.
For being one of the Mario Kart, I loved it. Honestly, I think Singapore Speedway is one of the best tracks to come in this entire set of DLC. And for me, it was. I'm not going to say like S++, the best track ever. But it's definitely my favorite of the city tracks so far, and I think it's an S, personally.
I think that's my problem. I see S as the absolute cream of the crop, the best of the best. So I can't assign S tier to almost anything. I understand. I like Singapore. I think it's an easy A. I just don't think it reaches the level of, say, Ninja Hideout, which for me is an S. I think Ninja Hideout is delightful.
I gotcha.
So yeah, I couldn't put it up. I couldn't put Singapore that high, but I think I could be. Like I said, I was kind of in the high B, low A for Athens, so I think I could be convinced either way on that one. I think the more I kind of process it, there's definitely recency bias there. I just played it like an hour ago again. I would say I could be convinced that a B is the appropriate place for Athens.
So, Ash, you're deciding the fate of Athens then?
I know.
I'm fine with either B or A, and it's up to you.
It's funny, we all landed in the same place. I was like, B or A or B or A. I kind of feel like I'm leaning toward A for Athens. I really think...
A for Athens?
I like the I like the verticality and how dynamic the course is. Like you said, there's the ruin parts and just like the various different segments of the course. There's a lot of verticality. I'm feeling A for this one.
Okay.
All right.
It's going an A.
Let's do it. I can already see the comments fuming. Okay. Let's move on to a classic favorite in Daisy Cruiser from Mario Kart Double Dash. And this was, I think, one that we were all probably pretty happy to see return, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of these tracks also returned in Mario Kart 7, and so like there isn't a drastic overhaul here. It still has the same underwater portion. It's still got most of the same things, like the swimming pool at the start that you can go underwater in. It's cool stuff.
Right.
Maybe it doesn't feel so fresh after all those years of Mario Kart 7, but this was still one of the best in Double Dash, and I'm processing where I'd put it right now. But it was definitely one of my most anticipated ones to come in this course. What were you guys feeling, though?
I wasn't a big Mario Kart 7 player. So this for me was more of a return from Double Dash than anything else. And Double Dash, like I mentioned in our stream last night, is probably my favorite core gimmick in Mario Kart history. I just love the idea of having two players switching between. But, you know, you don't have that here. But what I love about this is that it's just familiar enough that if you played a ton of Double Dash like I did, you remember the course, but there's still enough difference to make it feel fresh if, like me, you skipped Mario Kart 7. That being said, it's not the most varied or wild course out there. It doesn't surprise you in many ways. You know, I love the fact that the tables now have like Yoshis sitting at them. I thought that was really cool, a nice touch, but I would say that because it doesn't have a ton of surprises, it certainly doesn't have anything, you know, on the same level of like the surprise verticality to it that Athens does. I would put this in the B tier. I'd put it at a high B, but I'd put it at a B. It's fairly solidly there for me.
I'm actually a little relieved, Steve, because I figured, like, speaking of Daisy Cruiser and anything but terms below an A would be the death knell for any opinions going to die. But I actually find myself agreeing with you. As much as I love this track, and it's a great one to have back. I love it as a classic track. It's mostly pretty flat. It's a little bit basic in its layout. I love the idea, and I still think it's a great course. And I think it's a great setting on and in a cruise ship. I think that's so cool. I love the sliding tables with the toad sitting at them. One of my favorite little details is that I don't know if you just run into them regularly, but at least if you use a mushroom and you run into the Goombas who are in the inner tubes in the pool, they get sent flying. You don't spin out; they get sent flying, and I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, in general, I'm feeling like you are, Steve. Compared to, the verticality and such of Athens, this one feels a little bit like there's less going on, and I'm kind of walking away feeling like it might be a B.
You know what? In Double Dash, what kind of elevated this was in the Peach Beach course. You could see it in the distance, and it kind of made that sort of interconnected, contextual world. And we haven't got that here, so it's just a cruiser on its own. And a cruiser course is a great idea, and it is a lot of fun. Like, a B is a good rank. But I can't disagree. Like, it's a good course. It loses a little bit of its challenge as well, though, because like you're always flowing. If you fall into the underwater portion, you just keep going forward, and like maybe you lose a few seconds, but it doesn't have that sort of risk of failure that GameCube sometimes had, and it's rare to be hit by those tables too. So I think B's fair. All
right, the B's have it, and wow, so far we've mostly agreed, which is a little bit unusual for Mario Kart tracks. So let's see how this keeps going. So next we have another classic track. Well, I might use quotes for that myself in this case, but it's Moonview Highway from Mario Kart Wii. And John, why don't you get us started off on this one, man? You have not opened up a track yet.
Sure. Yeah, I love Mario Kart Wii, but usually when this shows up within Mario Kart Wii, I sigh.
Yep.
Because I love so many tracks in that game, but this one in that game, in Mario Kart Wii, was always just sort of a cumbersome one. I like it more here, though, and I think the biggest reason is the moonlight. It has this glow that kind of radiates the entire track, and it is aesthetically very, very appealing. I still don't love Mario Kart tracks with oncoming traffic. I find them just a little bit tedious, but
Same.
I think the longer width of the track here makes it, it alleviates part of it. So I like it more than I did in Mario Kart Wii, but I still can't say like, oh yeah, I can't wait to play this track. It's just kind of a middling one. It looks beautiful, but I haven't got any strong opinions on it.
Gotcha. What about you, Steve?
I'm gonna launch my first disagreement here. I like this track. I personally am a fan of tracks with oncoming traffic, if only because I think it adds to the chaotic element of the game. Specifically, I don't think this track works well in single player. I don't think it's a good single player track at all because of the fact that it's too easy then. But when you have 12 people who are actually like actively trying to screw each other over, and then you have the added chaos of not just like the oncoming traffic but the bomb cars too, you can mess somebody up real bad on this track. You can hit them with the right item at the right time to send them into a bomb car. Like it can create a lot of fun chaos, for more casual players like myself. So I personally, I'd put this one right next to Daisy at a B. I think that it is a simplistic track, but I think the potential for really fun shenanigans with a group of players elevates this one for me. And like John said, it is much more visually striking than it was before. Like that moonlight effect works really well, and it is a visually pleasing track in that regard. Like it feels like it got a massive visual upgrade just due to that moonlight. So I would put this one at a solid B. I think it's not like among the realms of the greats in the A and the S tier, but I also think I have a lot of fun playing it. I'm also a big fan of Toad Turnpike, so like these are just the type of track that I kind of enjoy.
Just to hand it back to you, Ash, I would probably give it a C. So
okay.
You're deciding where it goes.
So it's funny. I'm kind of right in the middle here because, like you, John, I was never a big fan of Moonview Highway, and I've never really liked the traffic courses except for Shroom Ridge from Mario Kart DS. I love that one. On the other hand, I didn't like Mario Kart Wii at all. You said you loved it. I didn't like it at all. And then on the other hand, Steve, I agree with you. It's gotten a great glow up. It looks really nice. The music has gotten a great remaster. But I'm also, like I said, not a fan of the traffic courses. And this one's it's very flat. It's essentially kind of a simple loop. I do like the procession of boosters toward the end, how you can chain boosters to keep your max speed up throughout the whole end of the lap. But it's still, at the end of the day, kind of a traffic course to me. And you said, I think the key here is you said you love Toad's Turnpike. Toad's Turnpike is one of my least favorite courses.
I think
how dare you?
There is a cool twist here with coins, because like coins went in Mario Kart Wii. So like when you get to that point with the boosters, you can either take the boosters or go for the coins. I like that risk. That's a nice risk. Yeah. But I'll always go for the boosters though, because coins come and go. Boosters are a one-time opportunity.
Exactly, and I think I'm going to have to take the similar risk of coming down on the C side here. I'm sorry, Steve.
It's okay. You just broke my heart. It's fine.
It's a high C, but not quite a B tier for me. So, all right. Moonview Highway is going into C. All right, now, Steve, I know you are dying to talk about this one. I think we feel pretty strongly about this. I think we probably all do. But next up, ending out the Feather Cup is Squeaky Clean Sprint, the first all-new track, or the only all-new track in this wave. And Steve, you were so hyped about this one right from the get-go. Why don't you start us off?
Oh, man. So this is, I'm just going to come out and say it, this is easy S tier for me. This is, I am a sucker for miniaturized environments and that kind of thing. This is just a bathroom. Like, it's a bathroom, but it's like a fun, whimsical bathroom. Like, you literally launch off the start line into a sink, like full of water. And I just love everything about this. It's littered with like little homages to Mario. Like you've got Mario themed band-aids or plasters if you're John. On one of the counters, there's great verticality to it. You get to go through the bathtub drain and you find stuff in the drain. Like it's just
the ring. The ring is so clever.
It is literally dripping with charm. Like this might be this stands among my favorite Mario Kart tracks, not just in 8 Deluxe, but just of all time. Like this is, I'm a sucker for this type of setting, and the execution is just perfect. I can't get enough of it. Like I race this
Why did they go so hard with this? Like
I know
it didn't have to be this good. It is a constant roller coaster of spectacle. Like as Steve was saying, like you go down the sink, but you end the track by jumping off a toilet bidet and just flying into the air. It's nuts. This is easily one of the better ones. They it kind of fits that miniaturized nature of like Ribbon Road somewhat.
Right.
Where it's a similar aesthetic to that, but in a totally different contextual environment. That there's a duck with a Mario hat on. It is easily, one of my favorites of the entire course pack. So yeah, easy S. No debate there.
Same. I love all the little references, the Mario, the original Super Mario Brothers World 1-1 tiling, like the wall tiling, the engagement ring or the wedding ring in the drain. There's so many cool little details.
And the fact that you can pass through the ring to get a double item box where there are no others at that point. They incentivize you to literally thread it. This course, I would buy the booster pack just for this one. I would spend the $25 just to get this one course.
Understandable.
Well, and I didn't realize it at first, but when you're on the second and third laps, you get that toilet geyser at the end, and you have a whole second tier, like a whole higher floor.
I think it's funny, Ash, that you and I both thought it was like a backed up toilet, like just spraying, and John's like, it's a bidet, and I was like, I much prefer now to think of it as a bidet.
That's way better and way cleaner. Okay, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with it being a bidet. I like that.
I noticed there's like a little bit of silence when I called it a bidet, and you guys were like, wait, hold on a second.
Yeah, I had to think about it. I was like, wait, is it?
I thought about that.
And I was like, I mean, it's definitely far better than the alternative.
Yeah.
I just thought that Mario and Luigi needed to be called. I just thought they needed some plumbing issues sorted out. But yeah, let's go with the bidet theory. I like that way more. And obviously, yes, I agree with you both. This is an easy S. One of my favorite tracks yet. And not just the Booster Course Pass, but in Mario Kart in general. This is just an amazing Mario Kart track in general. And definitely one of my new favorites. So yes, this is an easy S for all of us, it sounds like. All right, well, that's the end of the Feather Cup, and really, we've only genuinely disagreed on one track so far, being Moonview Highway, so I'm curious to see how the Cherry Cup is going to go.
And we're using the entire range of our scoring, too. Only D hasn't been used, but everything else is filling up all the columns.
I have a feeling D's going to be used, but I might be wrong. We'll see.
No, D's going to be used.
I have a feeling. But for now, let's go ahead and start with my hometown, my home city, Los Angeles Laps. And this is the second of the 3 Mario Kart Tour real-life city tracks. Obviously, this is one that I've been particularly excited for, being an LA native. And I avoided looking at any footage of it at Mario Kart Tour because I kind of want to just go into it unspoiled, and also I don't play Mario Kart Tour because I hate it. But yeah, so you know what? This one's fun. It doesn't have the verticality or the dynamic feel of something like Athens or like Singapore for sure. But I would also put it above something like Tokyo Blur or mainly I guess Tokyo Blur which feels kind of generic. Despite the city it's supposed to be based in. Like this, I can tell it's LA. You got the Santa Monica Pier, you've got downtown LA, you've got the Griffith Park Observatory in the distance. There's a weird thing where there's like the oil field in the middle of it, and apparently that's based on the Inglewood oil field, which I've never heard of. That's kind of a weird pull, but otherwise...
I don't know what was going on at that point.
That is the one thing in that track that feels so un-LA to me. Technically, that is part of LA County, but I feel like you could have picked almost anything more interesting than an oil field to represent LA. That said, it's a fun track. I like it. It's not blowing me away, but it's not like I'm groaning when it comes up either. Although I don't like that music. I don't know what's going on with the music in LA Laps, but for me, it's just a good, fun track that I think reps LA pretty damn well, except for the oil field part. So for me...
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh. I think for me, this is a pretty solid B. It's not blowing me away, but it's not like I don't want to play it. It's just kind of right there in the middle, sitting pretty.
There's good moments of spectacle. I love jumping over the baseball stadium and having actual Mario Sluggers renders in the background.
Yeah.
That's cool. But Australia did that way better, jumping through the Opera House and actually racing through it.
That is fair.
That's a better take on that kind of concept. I think this has lots of little pillars of LA. Very recognizable ones. But taking the actual track design as it is, it's a little basic. And when racing through the beach, at one point, there's a certain turn that I didn't actually quite see coming. Like, I went straight into the ocean. I didn't quite see the left turn coming up. So I didn't think that was best laid out. And it would have been cool to have like an alternate route under the water, but instead there isn't really. You've just got to turn with it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it's better than some of the city tracks, but I don't think it's anything that special.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, I have to say, John pretty much mirrored a lot of my thoughts on LA laps, particularly that kind of blind turn. If you watched our stream last night, I fell victim to that on stream. Like, I drove right into the water.
Alone.
I think it's a very poorly signposted turn. I do think that if you take away the... It feels very much like a course that's a little too easy to get used to. Like, the oil fields aren't... I'm just going to be real. I don't like them. I think that they're kind of boring.
I don't either.
The stadium thing, it's cool when you see it the first time, but like John said, Australia did it better. Like, you actually get to race through the Opera House. And I was kind of hoping we'd get to, do a little bit more there. I'd have to say I put this one at a C. For me, it's the epitome of like an average tour course. Like, I think it's got enough signposting to be like, yep, that's LA, but then it's got enough weird stuff too where, I mean, Ash, admittedly, even you as a native Angelino, you're like, why are there oil fields here? So, there are things that don't make sense. So I would say the track design is a little bland, and there's so much rich stuff from LA that you could have pulled in that's instantly recognizable as LA, yet they chose those oil fields.
Why not the Chinese theater, like Hollywood in general? It's so weird. Yeah.
To the credit of the oil fields, at least it's different. Like, some city tracks are basically just the same thing for 3 laps. Like, they evolve a little bit, but not much. It's kind of like that Mount Wario kind of feel where it is always going, and I like that. But my heart's also saying C. I think it's just kind of a basic city track, really.
To be fair, I would have, if we did, gradations, I would have done B-. Like, I don't think it's quite a C for me, but I would have done B- for sure. But you know what? I wouldn't have gone C with it, but I also understand where you guys are coming from, and it definitely would, not be a high B for me. So, but hey, doesn't matter. The C's have it. Majority wins. So
this next one sucks.
Yeah,
I hate this one.
All right. Well, I think we already know where we're going with this. So yes, next is Sunset Wilds from Super Circuit. And John, go ahead and start us off, man, because you already, I think, are going where we all are going.
It doesn't have a sunset. Like, the biggest gimmick in the original GBA version is it would start off in a sunset and actually progress into, like, in the second lap it would get a bit darker, and in the third lap you'll be a pure night. It would be continuously setting through that day and night cycle. This does not have that. It is just a fixed orangey kind of... It's not even really sun. It's just like a filter. It's like you're watching Breaking Bad. It's that kind of filter. It just doesn't look great. It robs the entire course of its gimmick. And just assessing the actual track itself, it's so basic. Like, the only reason this was really memorable in the first place was because of that time of day shift, and it's gone now. So I think this is the easiest D we've ever had.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, I find it actively frustrating. It's like you said, the main appeal of the course has been taken away from it. And then on top of that, the course design is just kind of, There's like those patches on the ground. I can't tell if they're supposed to be mud or whatever that slow you down. Yeah. That look like metallic gold with the way they lit the course, by the way.
They do weird.
And I just kind of, even in the moment of them being fresh new courses, I was like, I'm not enjoying myself. Like, recency bias couldn't even help me here. So I just think that not a great course. Easy.
I like those Shy Guys are cool. I like that they've made them distinguished, but they were never a hazard. I just easily swayed past them. It's like they weren't even there, really. Just a bad course.
Yeah, this is not only in D tier for me as well, it's also in could have been Airship Fortress tier. Because, like, why? Why do we have this rather than something way more interesting like that? But yeah, and it's not even Super Circuit, because as we've seen, there have been other Super Circuit tracks, pulled forward into really interesting Mario Kart 8, redesigns, like Cheese Land, for example, but even stuff that isn't quite as aggressive as Cheese Land, like Snowland or Boo Lake or something like that. At least there's something. Even the one from Wave 4, the park, Riverside Park, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. Like, you can tell it's still the genesis of a Super Circuit track, but they added verticality to it. They added something to it. This just feels like the flat Super Circuit track with just, obviously nice modern visuals, but even compared to, as you were saying, Steve, compared to the rest of the tracks that we've seen, Sunset Wilds looks kind of cheap, and like you said, the mud puddle things just look like glassy, metallic
Yeah.
I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it doesn't look good. I think the kindest thing I can say about this is that the color palette is nice. But again, the sunset should actually be a sunset and turn into night, like the original track did. So I think we all agree it's an easy D, right?
Yeah.
Right, and if they fix it in a patch, which they might, because they did with Coconut Mall,
right?
Even if they fix it, I don't think it's going to elevate it that much. I think
No.
it's insulting that it doesn't have its core gimmick, but even if it did have it, it still wouldn't be a great track.
Yeah,
I agree.
It
Did
might
it have...
reach a C if they fix it, but
Yeah.
Maybe like a low C.
it would still be bordering on D easily.
John, do you know offhand if the sunset is kept in Mario Kart Tour?
I have heard it. I haven't checked it myself, but I have heard from others that it is kept in Tour. So
How did they remove that? That's
it
so
just doesn't seem
weird.
finished. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, definitely an easy D for all of us. Which means still only two tracks so far have we really come down on separate opinions on. So let's keep on going and see where we land on the last two here. So the third track in the Cherry Cup is, I think, a popular favorite from Mario Kart Wii, being Koopa Cape. And I was definitely excited for this one to come back. John, how are you feeling about this, man?
Love Koopa Cape. One of my favorite tracks from Mario Kart Wii. It was also in 7. One thing I didn't love that 7 did, and again, it's in here too, is the tunnel part at the end. They've made it an underwater section, so the current that's carrying you is gone. And those electric wheels are also gone. So you don't quite have that sort of risk of being pushed towards these currents and having to avoid them and change your acceleration a little bit. That is all just not here now. But they have made changes from 7, though, because it's now an anti-grav and an underwater section at the same time. And they've added those little bumpers to get speed, which is a bit like the current carrying you. There's that ramp to get items, so I like it more than what 7 did. And the whole track in itself, like even disregarding the changes to the tunnel part, like it's a great track. I love the outside with the river carrying you. I love the beginning. I think I would have preferred the current to stay in the tunnel. I think I would, and have those electric wheels. I would have loved that a bit more. And if it had that, I'd say it would probably be an S. But without that, it's an A for me.
Gotcha. Where are you landing on Koopa Cape, Steve?
Koopa Cape is probably one of my favorites from Wave 5. I agree with John that it has been changed for the worse, but that doesn't necessarily make it a bad course, like John already said. I'm particularly a fan of, you can see it in the thumbnail we used for this, but the part where you can pass through those metallic shells and the current is ripping you around the course like that, because it feels quite unlike anything we have currently. The water speeding you up is really fun, really dynamic when you're in a heated race with a group of people. And you can make a lot of headway or lose a lot of headway in those turns there. But the tunnel is still a pretty fun section. Like, I agree it could be much better, but the bumpers do help. Having it be an anti-grav section helps. You have that little half pipe where you can grab items in the middle of it if you're really desperate. Overall, I'd say it's a course that I never stop to think about how I'm enjoying it, because I'm just enjoying it while I'm playing it.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the hallmark of an A course. Like, I never stop and think, oh, this could be better, this could be worse. After the fact, I can be critical of it, but when I'm playing it, I'm just having a pure good time.
Totally.
Agreed. Yeah, this is just, as you said, Steve, the definition of just a good, fun course. I've always thought Koopa Cape, even though I agree with you both that it has been changed for the worse here, I don't think that matters too much in the end, because it doesn't diminish the sense of momentum. This course has a great sense of momentum where it just feels like you're always going fast and you're always making a lot of progress, unless, of course, you're getting hit by like 8 different shells and such. But if you're not being hit by things, it's just this course has a great sense of speed and momentum. I love the visuals. I love the setting. The underwater tube part is really cool, although I do agree with you, John, that I wish the water current had been kept for the underwater part. But still, like, none of those slight blemishes compared to previous forms of the track kill the overall vibe for me, and we just keep on agreeing. This is an easy A for me. We're really, I feel like the rest of the team is going to be so jealous, because none of the other discussions we've had have been quite as smooth and agreeable as this one. So I don't know what it is, but we are in agreement on Koopa Cape as well, which is going to be an A tier track.
Well, let's get heated about this one then.
I know.
I don't know if our opinions are going to be heated, but we'll see.
We'll see.
I'll pretend to be.
One thing that isn't heated is the setting of this track, which is, of course, Vancouver Velocity, and another Mario Kart Tour Real Life City track, the last of 3 in this wave. And I guess I'll just go ahead and get us started by coming right out and saying I really like this track. I was really debating last night if it was like a high A or even a low S for me. And I think after having a little bit of time to think about it and, not just be like, oh, I just played it. What a great course. I think I'm probably trending closer to A, but it is absolutely one of my favorite city tracks. I love the visuals, the colors. You go through a hockey stadium. I want a Mario hockey game. The one Mario sports game I want is a hockey game, and you get a little bit of a taste of what that could be like in this track. And you get a hockey rink, and I just love all the. To be fair, I'm biased. I love snowy areas and levels in games, but I love all the lights, the snow-covered trees, the lit-up city, like the downtown area. I love this track personally, so I'm coming in at an A. But where are you guys feeling about this, or how are you guys feeling about this?
I'll say the reason that I put LA and C was because a lot of its factors were dressing. Like, it wasn't really level design. Like, it wasn't taking all these pillars into account and making it part of the stage. This does. And I love, too, how when the laps change in the hockey arena, the exit changes, too. So you go through a different part each time. It's a rad course. I think it is one of the better city ones overall. I want to be heated and disagree with you, Ash. I want to call you names, but it is an S. I wouldn't say it's S, but I think I would put it in A, though.
Man, I'm going to disagree with both of you dummies. There, name calling check. This is, for me, Vancouver is a solid B, and I'm going to give my reasons here. But one, I think when I play it, I can identify lots of things with it that I could, that slow it down for me momentum-wise, like in terms of my enjoyment. Like, I mean, when I compare it to the two that are in A currently, especially Koopa Cape, right? I'm like, Vancouver's not nearly as fun as that. Like, I am grinning ear to ear when I'm playing my A-tier courses. When I play Vancouver, I'm like, that was a fun time, which is exactly how I feel when I play the cruise ship stage. Like, I'm just like, that was good. I'm not, like, super hype. I'm not energetic about it. And I'll be honest, I played it several times last night during our stream, and I played it this morning in preparation for our recording session today. And all I remember is the hockey rink. That's the one part of the course that I'm like, I remember that. That's the cool part. Huh. I couldn't tell you any other like cool standout moment in this course for me. And that doesn't mean it's bad, but it means it's like, it's just all right. It's good. It's just not, it doesn't go above and beyond, in my opinion, from a design perspective. To me, it is a very solidly fun course, but I think when you look at what we've put in A, it doesn't quite reach that level. Athens is something else. Like, you can go up and down and sideways, and there's quick turns, and it's very snappy. And Koopa Cape, you're just fast. You're just super fast through the whole thing, and it feels like you're on the edge of your seat when you're playing it. I don't get those feelings from Vancouver. I think it's a good course. Wow. I don't think it's a great course.
That convinced me, actually. It's not Koopa Cape level. Putting them side by side,
it's so funny.
I don't feel like they're the same tier.
That's so funny. I actually feel like they are. I have a lot of fun with this course.
It's okay to be wrong.
Not even. I was going to say the same thing earlier. Not even just the hockey rink part, but I love the downtown park, and I love the part at the very beginning of the first lap where you're just on that steep mountainside, like curving around the side of the mountain. I just think that's so cool, and the bridge and everything. And the one thing I didn't mention earlier is that, I mean, a lot of Mario Kart music is excellent, but like this track in particular is next level fantastic. You got this cool like jazz going on, almost feels like a Persona song. It is one of the highlights, I think, of all the DLC music so far, and I think the standout music also goes a long way toward just bringing it all together for me. I can see your points as well. I still think you both are wrong, but I can see your points as well. I do actually find this to be as fun as Athens and as fun as Koopa Cape, but I also get why you two don't. So, personally, I think it's an A, but clearly the B's have it, and I gotta play fair here, even if you both are wrong. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay.
Can we make an E? Can we make like an E and put Sunset Wilds in there?
Right?
It doesn't deserve D. It's worse than that. And if it gets patched, it can be D.
I feel bad for the other tracks that we've listed in D tier before, because I think Sunset Wilds is worse than probably all of them.
I feel like when we come back after Wave 6 and we rate everything, we should have an E tier with just one track in it. Like, the one we agree is just the worst of all time.
We just call it, like, the tier is just called Sunset Wilds, and that's it.
Yeah.
It has its own little tier at the bottom.
Yeah. Or like I said before, should have been Airship Fortress, or could have been Airship Fortress.
There's still a chance, actually. Still got one more chance.
Yeah, there's still one more chance. You got Sora at the very end of Smash, so...
That's true, but it hasn't already been data mined that there are no more Mario Kart DS tracks? I thought that's what I read.
I'm not sure.
You know, I want to say, though, I'm loving the symmetry of how we laid these out. Look, we got one on top, one on bottom, and then we got two in every other tier.
Yeah, so just to recap, on the very bottom, the bottomest of bottom end, we've got Sunset Wilds. In C tier, we got Moonview Highway and LA Laps. And then B, we've got Daisy Cruiser and Vancouver Velocity. A tier, we've got Athens Dash and Koopa Cape. And finally, rounding things out at the very top, we all easily agreed, was Squeaky Clean Sprint in the S tier. Overall, I'd say a pretty strong wave. Even if, I think all of our personal rankings would obviously be a little bit different. But in general, we all seem to agree on most of this. And we seem to, enjoy this wave overall quite a bit, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, you don't breach being unenjoyable till you're in D tier. Like, every single one has something to offer except Sunset Wilds. Right. So, I think that these are all enjoyable. They just escalate in enjoyment. And I think having... what I would consider five of them being in the higher end of the ranking, like that to me is a very solid showing.
Yeah. I don't think it's the strongest wave we've had so far. Like the way we've laid it out, it's high highs and low lows. Like there's some mid ones in here, but there's also some great ones in there. But what I think is great compared to the first wave and maybe even part of the second wave is the visual production has been stepped up a ton. If you go back to that first wave, there's a lot of tracks that come straight from Mario Kart Tour. And I think they took that criticism to heart, because with like Wave 3 onward, they really did like redo the textures and the lighting, and there's very few just basic, plain-colored textures now, which is great. Like they are doing these tracks justice, even if they broke one of them completely.
Right. And I do think, like, if we were ranking in gradations as well, you were saying, Steve, how it's a good sign that 5 of the 8 tracks are in the higher tiers, but I have a feeling that if we were to do like B- and C+ and such, that maybe Moonview and LA might have even made it into B- for us, leaving really the only truly bad track at Sunset Wilds. I could be wrong, that's just speculation, but I have a feeling, given the tenor of the discussion around those tracks, that maybe they would have snuck into at least one of them.
Well, I definitely would have put Moonview in B. That was the hill I was willing to die on. But
I know, that's true.
LA, I could see being a B- if we had those.
Yeah.
I don't want to have those. Yeah. God, that discussion would take forever. But
I know. Well, and we don't. There's a reason for that, because it would take forever, and we really have 2 more of these. We got the Wave 6 discussion, of course, and then at the end of it all, we're going to do a mega massive Mario Kart 8 Deluxe power ranking of every course in a tier list, and that's going to be a big one. That's going to be
oh boy.
Yeah, blood will be spilled that day. But you know what? A comparatively small amount of blood was spilled today, and I'm happy to have done this discussion with you two, because I can tell you they have not all been this agreeable, for sure.
No. I hope that there's no Sunset Wilds defenders among the GVG crew. Like, if this video goes live and Daniel or Brandon or Derek says, "How could you?" then I don't think I want to speak to them anymore.
I'm just waiting for somebody in the comments to be like, "Wow, GVG, you all are wrong. Sunset Wilds is the best." And I'm sure there'll be one.
I never liked the time of day shift in the first place. I love it more that it's static.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, speaking of all the comments we're likely to get telling us how wrong we are, please do leave your thoughts in the comments. Would love to see how you would have ranked these particular 8 tracks and how you all are feeling about Wave 5 in general. But I do think that just about does it for us. Guys, anything else you want to mention about any of this before we head out?
Petey Piranha, we didn't mention him. He's here too.
Yeah, Petey's cool.
Petey's cool. It's funny, I was most excited about Wiggler, just because I think the sight of Wiggler riding a cart is just cursed, and I love it. But Kamek, actually, like, Wiggler's a little bit too heavy for me, whereas Kamek, I've been doing a lot better with him.
Kamek's my new main. I can't stop playing him.
He's not replacing... You what?
She says pointed this out on Twitter, but Kamek's horn is the same magic sound from Yoshi's Island, and it's so cool that they brought that sound effect over.
Nice. And you hear that sound effect as one of his like trick animations too. He does like a quick wand wave, and yeah, I love that sound effect. And he's not going to replace Rosa as my main. She's still my Mario Kart 8 Deluxe main, but I think I'll be playing Kamek quite a bit in the future. Crossing my fingers for either Pauline or Dixie in Wave 6, but probably going to be Pauline.
It's nice how just a few characters have kind of changed the Mario Kart 8 roster, because it was fine in the first place, but there was a lot of babies and Koopalings that just kind of ate everything up. But just adding Kamek and Birdo and Wiggler, it really does just make the whole thing feel a bit more lively.
It does, and it's also kind of cool that Nintendo have taken this opportunity to, throw in some balance patches too for a game that's obviously as old as it is.
I'm gonna
almost
say
10 years old.
I'm gonna say that I don't want another Kong. You know who I want? I want Wart. Give me Wart.
Wart would be cool.
I'll take Wart.
I'd always be down for Wart. That would be cool. Yeah. All right, well, that does bring us to the end of our Wave 5 Mario Kart 8 DLC tier list ranking discussion. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, I do have to remind you all that we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/gvgaming. We offer our patrons a wide variety of tiers they can support us at, starting at just $1 a month, which gets you into our Discord community, the best damn community on the internet, trademark pending. But with that said, we're done here, and we're going to go move on to other videos and other great content for you all. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.